This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I am one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter, and also the host of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including the one that you're listening to this show on. Joining me on today's episode, John Carrasco, my co-host. You can find him on Twitter at BIGG_speaker. That's Big Speaker. John, how you doing, bud?
I am doing pretty good, man. Definitely not enjoying this weather that we're going through right now. So it's put a damper on the drive over here and everything like that, I guess you could say. But,
yes.
I mean, we're here, breaking it down another week and everything like that. So, yeah, let's get into it.
It's wet. It's messy.
Mm-hmm.
Our East Coast listeners are used to this type of stuff, you know, the low temperatures and a little bit of snowfall.
Mm-hmm.
But where we're from here in the Texas Panhandle, we don't get a whole lot of snow. I mean, we usually get a whole lot of wind, and the weather's always hit or miss. But whenever you do the type of work me and John do, which is outdoor work, and you have to deal with the leaves, that's a whole nother animal. But, you know, the wetness on top of it just makes for a pretty crappy day. That's a good way to put it, and, you know, which leads to a domino effect. Crappy day, you can maybe call it tomorrow because we have to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing that I wanted to allude, or just, you know, get it out here at the beginning of the show, is we're going to roll through this bad boy just because, number one, it's late. We had a long day, and we got to wake up early tomorrow, but that's not the only reason why. Number two is because it's a jam-packed show. We got to cover SmackDown. We're also giving our quick predictions of the Crown Jewel premiere live event, which is going to be tomorrow, actually 12 hours from when we're recording this. So why waste a whole lot of time for a super long episode? Let's get this bad boy done out into the interwaves so you guys can hear this bad boy. So with all that being said, though, first things first, I wanted to comment on the Randy Orton stuff, just the speculation. Look, one thing I did want to clarify, I do not have any sources. You know, it's not a scoop or anything like that. It's more so just connecting dots and, you know, using past examples and just taking the injury in a vacuum and, you know, taking it for what it is. Randy Orton, he's had a very long career. 20 years, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Just not just a 20-year wrestling career where he was at the independent scene and, you know, having to work his way up. He's essentially been 20 years at the tip top, working for the WWE, having that traveling schedule, just basically working with the best of the best. So clearly that takes its toll on your body. And the fact that he's, you know, this late in his career, I'm not sure exactly how old he is, probably, you know, early 40s, you know, dealing with a back injury, that's not necessarily something that you bounce back from easily and it just goes away. You know, it's kind of like a hamstring injury for football players. You're constantly running, you're constantly having to be explosive, so to speak, and it's making those muscles and, you know, all that stuff that's going on there have to work a lot harder. And just the nature of being a professional wrestler, back injuries and professional wrestlers, they don't go hand in hand. Kind of just like neck injuries, you know, because you're constantly having to land on your back. It's a brutal lifestyle, and it's just something that I heard. I don't even know where. It could have been on the internet, from a podcast or something like that, just basically alluding to the fact that he should have been back by now, but because this injury is a little bit more serious than what people might have anticipated, or he just isn't recovering from it quite like we expected, it's kind of delaying things and maybe adding that question, well, are we going to get Randy Orton back like we're used to? I mean, things happen like this all the time in terms of like wrestlers getting the rug pulled out from underneath them because of an unexpected injury. You don't get to control that. That's kind of the one thing that we're constantly reminded of, is that, yes, you know, people say what they will about wrestling being quote unquote scripted. You know, it is what it is. But the bumps, the beatings, I mean, look at Natalya tonight. That sometimes you actually get dinged up, and I think that's something that we really can't control. And Randy Orton obviously dealing with that right now. Now, having said all that, I hope it's not true. I hope we get Randy Orton back, but I do have to kind of question right now if we're ever going to get full-time, traveling on the road, appearing on every Raw, most SmackDowns, whatever show he's on, every single week, because, we were seeing that with RK Bro during that stint. And, just a little side note, I did see an article today where had he not gotten hurt after losing those tag team championships to the Usos, he was going to turn on Matt Riddle. That was all. That was that was done. It was set in stone. That was going to happen. The injury kind of threw a bump in the road, and obviously Matt Riddle had to go on and feud with Seth, and we had that little program that we had. But long story short, don't have any sources. Don't take what I say as gospel or anything like that. It's just truly an opinion and just my point of view, and just, I guess, a gut feeling that, I am kind of concerned about Randy Orton. He's just literally, he's been in the WWE since I was in the fourth grade. So, looking at where I am now, that's a long time, So it's one of those things obviously we want to see Randy Orton back, but I completely understand him wanting to take a long time off to make sure he's good to go 100% because, back injuries are nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and that, I kind of say, when I think of Randy Orton at this time, I kind of think his return is going to be one of those under the mat ones,
Royal Rumble entry, random countdown,
We're not going to expect it. That's the one that's kind of okay, we don't really know what's going on with him. It doesn't really seem like he's putting out too much on social media or anything like that to follow. So this one is going to be a surprise, and whenever it happens, it's going to pop, man.
I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to get that out of the way. There was some conversation about it in the Discord chat. And another thing, just really quickly, I did want to apologize just to the people in the Discord and, everyone who calls into the mailbag and all that stuff, just because, just by circumstance, football season, having a football podcast that I have to pretty much, run for the most part, all things considered. Obviously, I do have a lot of help and, to keep the train rolling and all that stuff. But without a doubt, having to watch all the games and just doing all the editing, producing, and all that stuff, it's time consuming. So just during the fall, I'm having to take a little bit of a step back from my wrestling watching that I watch just throughout the week. Obviously, I watch SmackDown every single chance I get. Now, there is that little DirecTV dispute going on with Fox right now. We had to watch it on the Fire Stick tonight. That's a whole nother, discussion. But for what it's worth, I'm always going to watch SmackDown, no matter what. So that is something that I'm familiar with. But just, like I said, by circumstance, I've kind of had to unplug a little bit from all that. But don't worry, I will be back and, a lot more interactive and all that stuff.
I was going to say, just touch base on that. It is good to get that little interaction, It's starting to get it a little bit more. It's kind of seeming people are actually paying attention more to the show, I guess you could say. And it feels good, So, getting that in the Discord and stuff like that, it's awesome.
Yeah, we always appreciate that. Always.
Oh, yeah. So, it's definitely something to look forward to, especially, building up into, the recording as of tonight and stuff like that after SmackDown shows and everything. So, it kind of just, gives us something to bounce off with, conversation and stuff like that. So, it's all good over here.
Yeah, without a doubt. I kind of just wanted to, explain my absence from, or I guess my lack of, communication and all that good stuff. And sometimes I'll get, someone will at me or mention me or whatever, and I just, I won't see it, for days. You'll have to come tell me, hey, did you see that in the Discord? And I'll have to go check it out and all that good stuff. But yeah, definitely going to be getting back into all that stuff. But let's go ahead and get into this SmackDown, which aired on November 4th, 2022. Obviously did not get recorded tonight because of them being, overseas in Saudi Arabia and all that good stuff. So there were some, fans who already knew the outcomes and the, I guess, developments from what happened on this episode of SmackDown. And luckily, they kept it under wraps for the most part. They let people enjoy it and not spoil anything like that. Not a whole lot of stuff to be spoiled other than very specific things. But there weren't any I guess, major title changes or anything like that. Just for the most part, excuse me, all things, going according to plan, leading up to Crown Jewel tomorrow, which obviously makes tonight a go-home show. So let's go ahead and start with how the show started. Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville in a no disqualification match. Now, like I mentioned, I watched this episode on the Fire Stick, so I got in about 15 minutes late, and they were already going. pretty much only saw like the last minute and a half of this match, but I did see Liv Morgan, with the pile of chairs there in the ring, hit the Oblivion and pick up the win on Sonya Deville. Did I miss anything else leading up to that, or was it just, your typical beat the hell out of each other for a no disqualification match?
It was basically, just a straight up match, I guess you could say. I mean, I kind of thought like the kendo stick was brought out a little bit too early. I figured that, kind of beat up on each other, hand in hand, rather than going straight for the weapons already. But it was good. I can't really complain about it. I mean, I feel like this is both. I mean, this is helping both of the superstars kind of build their. Dang, I can't even say the word right now. Credibility.
Credibility. Yep.
Yeah, right now. But other than that, I think it's good for Liv, man. It's kind of just giving me like that. Okay, she is doing a little bit better to help us, or to help convince me. That she can win matches.
And a little bit more of what we talked about last week or the week before about Liv wanting to put herself through pain and her, more. I guess she's so willing to inflict pain on her opponent that she'll do damage to herself in the process, and that's kind of what that Oblivion is.
Yeah, and I am kind of feeling like it's kind of like that craziness is kind of like fading off. I wish she would like at least like carry it throughout her whole character, like rather than whenever she's coming out down the stage, she's being all happy.
She's all happy, like Liv, babyface Liv. Okay,
so
I get it.
It kind of just gives me like a on and off vibe about the crazy thing. So I kind of feel like it's kind of going somewhere else, But it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Up next, though, backstage, Xia Li approaches Emma while she's doing like a little backstage interview or whatever. However, right after Xia Li calls her weak, or she's starting to call her weak, Emma just basically hits her. She just knocks her smooth on her rear end.
Yeah.
Anything on this backstage interview? Do you think this is just basically giving them airtime?
I mean, I believe it's like kind of giving her a few to at least keep her relevant, So, I mean, her coming back and, taking that beating from Ronda, and then just kind of going to the back of it, or the back of the bus, I guess you could say, kind of doesn't. I don't know. Wouldn't feel right to me, I guess you could say, because they've done that to like multiple people. You bring them in one time and then we don't see them again for like weeks. So keeping her, week by week, I guess you could say, is good for me.
Yeah. So I guess getting back to the in-ring action, Ricochet versus LA Knight. Now this one was a little bit, I guess, comedic. Whenever LA Knight was walking to the ring, kind of took a shot at Samantha while Ricochet was standing right there in the ring, and obviously they'd have the match. LA Knight wins with the roll up, uses the ropes, and also pulls the tights simultaneously. Just the double whammy there, and then Samantha Irvin has to announce. Is it Irvin?
Irvin.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Want to double check.
Yes, sir.
She has to announce that LA Knight just beat her boyfriend.
Right.
So she has to announce it. Just tell me that doesn't. Hey, man, being Ricochet there in the ring,
it's part of the job, man. You got to do what you got to do. I mean, either way, win or loss,
it's the negative side.
I guarantee that she was feeling it whenever he was the IC champion. So yeah, got to go with those L's.
One thing I will say though, as far as in the match goes, that moonsault that LA Knight did when he jumped on the top rope, did that backflip, he landed it. It wasn't, it wasn't a successful move. Ricochet rolled out of the way, but he landed on his feet. Mm-hmm. And then Ricochet basically just tried to one-up him. He went and did his thing and jumped, did a backflip. Landed in the ring. I think we went to commercial break after that. But just seeing LA Knight do that type of stuff, just basically, I wasn't familiar that he could do that. I didn't realize that he was, I guess, that athletic. It almost reminded me a little bit of like a young Chris Jericho. Whenever he does the line saw, he was very famous for doing that off the middle rope, that backflip. So it was just kind of familiar there, and it raised my eyebrow, and I was like, okay, I like to see that. But LA Knight does steal the win here from Ricochet.
Yeah, I mean, he's been impressive, like I said, since he's done the leaving Maximum Male Models.
Yes, who was a no-show tonight.
And, I mean, he's basically just been up on my trend, I guess you could say. And, yeah, he's doing his job.
Yes, another person doing his job, Bray Wyatt.
Oh, dude.
He has his backstage segment, which this is very intense. He's cutting a backstage promo, gets interrupted by somebody, a WWE employee, I guess you can say, somebody backstage, and they interrupt him, and he just basically says, like, hey, do you realize how hard it is for me to do this without being interrupted? So the fact that you're interrupting me is extremely disrespectful. He, demands an apology from this employee, makes him look him in his eyes and all that stuff, then tells him, just get out of here, whatever. He's clearly struggling throughout this whole promo, they're showing those little vignettes and just random faces, and it's very interesting though. But I'm trying to pay attention because, like I said, it's kind of been hard to follow as far as like, cause you don't know a whole lot yet, but now you're starting to see what it is. I guess from my perspective, it's clearly like an internal thing. Like who is Bray Wyatt talking to? I feel like it's like, you don't want to just completely rip off Randy Orton and say it's like voices in his head, because obviously Uncle Howdy or whoever that is, who I was waiting to see tonight, didn't get to see his face or whatever. Obviously with Bray Wyatt, it's never just him, right? There's always other characters and other wrinkles that are going to unfold, whether it is the Wyatt family and you had, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, eventually Braun Strowman. And then, further down the line, the Firefly Funhouse with all those different characters eventually had Alexa Bliss kind of there whenever he was the Fiend. He's somebody who just, he gets deep with this type of stuff. And it's always going to be a slow burn. It's always going to be something that takes weeks, if not months, to get that blow over, I guess, to get that payoff. And I'm interested without a doubt. He is going to make an appearance tomorrow or today when you're listening to this at Crown Jewel. So, I'm excited to see where this goes, because Bray Wyatt, he's SmackDown exclusive from what I know. Has he made an appearance on Raw? Mm-mm. I like that. I like that he's kind of true to SmackDown. Same thing with LA Knight. Same thing now, obviously, Rey Mysterio. But, Bray Wyatt's definitely one that I'm glad that we get on our show, and seeing him cut these promos that are just so intense. Like, he was screaming at that dude. It was literally hard. Yeah, if you were in the room and like you weren't paying attention to this, you would have like put down your phone and you would have looked at the TV like, what the hell's going on? So just watching it, I was like, man, this is some good stuff.
The thing that got me was the employee, he's just straight face the whole time. I was just like, God, like nothing,
He handled it well.
Yeah, no, I was just kind of thinking like, man, it's just, okay, here goes this roller coaster that we're just going to go through, because we went from a like soft, emotional Bray Wyatt on his debut, and then now we're going to like a anger, I don't even know.
It's clearly starting to shift.
Personalities, I guess you could say, and that's where I'm kind of thinking like I'm just just staying connected with like the WWE world, I guess you could say, universe, and there's always just these different ideas, thoughts, opinions and stuff like that, and I'm kind of hooked on the one where it's all the different personalities of them.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to roll with that one, man.
It's definitely going to be fun to see. I'm definitely looking forward to this storyline unfolding a little bit. But continuing on here, we get some Uso bloodline stuff. The Usos come out and they cut a quick promo. It is interrupted by the New Day, but what the Usos are talking about is basically hyping up their match tomorrow with the Brawling Brutes, and also just reminding us how close they are to setting that record and cementing themselves as one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and obviously in the WWE right now. See, what the Uso or what the New Day talk about though when they come out is basically saying, yeah, you guys are going to have your fun tomorrow, but as soon as you land back in the United States, we got next, basically. Mm-hmm. So whether you win, whether you lose, it doesn't matter. We got next, but you better make damn sure that if you are going to break our record, our tag team, I guess, 10-year record, you're going to have to go through us to do it.
Yeah.
So are you excited to see this?
On this one, or for it to go to the New Day, yes. But for it to be involved with the Brutes right now, no. Just because this happened.
Yeah, because they come out immediately right after that and they attack them from behind.
Well, I just kind of feel as if, like, okay, they just did this to make us just already forget about the match tomorrow.
Yeah, it kind of makes you overlook the Brutes a little bit.
Okay, so we're already expecting the Usos to win. Of course, that's who my prediction was from the beginning. But now we're already looking for something along the road, So I'm all for it. I feel like Xavier Woods, he expressed that in the show. I think last week or the week before.
Yeah,
and I was just hooked on that already. So here it goes.
Yeah, so the Brutes come out, they attack him from behind, and surprisingly, the New Day just start jumping them.
I know.
That surprised me a little bit because you almost think that they have like a mutual respect for each other, like the Usos and the New Day. They've been going at it for literally like the better part of like 8 or 9 years. So, I thought there was a little bit of like, hey, we're not going to just jump you. We're not going to help you. Like, we might just leave the ring and let, the Brutes have their way with you. But the fact that they kind of jumped in and started kicking them as well. That did surprise me a little bit. Obviously, Sami Zayn and Solo come out to kind of even the numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
And the bloodline does prevail. So going into tomorrow a little bit pissed off, to say the least, at what happened on SmackDown. But I'm looking forward to having those predictions at the end of the show, talking about that tag team match specifically. But up next, Natalya versus Shayna Baszler with Ronda Rousey at ringside. A little bit of like a grudge match here because what happened last week when she just like got choked out, last minute or whatever. It was like out of nowhere. Just Shayna Baszler just chokes out Natalya. They do show the video package before that, just to remind you that happened. Same thing happens tonight, just in a official match form. She chokes her out with the Karafuda clutch, and then afterwards busts her open with like a running knee.
Dude.
Just busts her nose right open, blood everywhere, TV 14 stuff. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about this match and what happened afterwards?
Well, I mean, this one wasn't too high on the ratings for me.
So probably won't be in the title, the show title.
Oh no, yeah,
Okay.
definitely not yet. We're leaving it out of that. But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those ones. Okay, like of course, whenever I see these two, anytime I see Natalya in a match, I kind of think straight up submission. I've said this before, and of course, this is what it went to, especially after last week and everything. So yeah, that's what I was just kind of rolling with, I guess you could say. But ultimately, it turned out to what I expected it to be, but the bloody nose was the kind of thing that was like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, like you said, this stuff is kind of scripted, but things like this happens.
This is several weeks in a row now that the commentary team has reminded us, quote unquote, this is like the old Shayna Baszler, almost trying to give us a tip that
she did look like she's in good shape, though.
Yeah, and she's just doing things that are reminiscent of her when she was actually in a dominant stage in her career. So the fact that she's kind of turning back the clock a little bit, taking a page out of her own playbook where she had a lot of success, I do think it's going to bode well for her. Not only, towards Survivor Series season, but also as we get closer to the Royal Rumble, because there is a Women's Royal Rumble, obviously. And I do think that Baszler is going to be a big-time player in that, just where I am right now.
I agree with that. And if and when, this, hopefully I want to see this happen, the women's tag team division kind of develops a little bit. I would be totally interested in these two as a tag team.
Yeah, I mean, you talking about Ronda and Shayna? Yeah, they would be a legitimate, we've talked about this, a legitimate badass and a very credible tag team. Up next, I did want to highlight on something, which is just the Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross video package that we saw. It wasn't anything too, crazy, but just the vibe and the music. Dude. It was very reminiscent of Ruthless Aggression, old school WWE.
I agree.
It just the song, because you never see that anymore. Mm-hmm. You see a video package, it's real, I guess generic music, real intense cinema music. Yeah. They kind of push that to the side a little bit, and this is something that hardcore fans or just fans that actually pay attention to that type of stuff, they're gonna notice it. And I was just seeing the I guess the interactions that Drew and Karrion have had, and the music that was going with it. Like I said, just the vibe as a whole, it made you feel something for this match. You felt the animosity that these two have with each other. Showing the car wreck on the outside of the building, showing what Scarlett has done, the strap match at Extreme Rules. They kept, just turning back and reminding you as why you should be very, into this match heading into a steel cage, which, hey, can we give the WWE an applause for having the blow-off match be in a cage? Not having that be first or just out of place somewhere. This isn't a pay-per-view called Steel Cage, where you just automatically throw a steel cage. No, this is an appropriate booked cage match. Yeah. That the feud calls for it. It's at a pay-per-view. It's somewhere where it actually feels legit. So, shout out to Triple H, man. He's doing that's the thing, is people, they want it to be night and day difference, like Triple H, just because he stepped foot in the office and he's technically calling shots now. They want it to be just different. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a little bit, It's a little bit like a turnover when you get a new regime for your favorite sports team,
He blew it out the door, though.
He did.
I can't even lie. And he's
doing a hell of a job.
He's still riding on it, so it's all good to me, man.
And we're about to get into the money season. That's the thing. This is technically the season where he's still just kind of playing around a little bit. WrestleMania has in Los Angeles, it's sold over, I don't know for sure. I don't want to just throw the wrong number out there, but I want to say 100,000 or something like that 100,000 tickets for both nights. And obviously there's going to be like standing room or something like that. I don't know exactly what the number is. So like I said, don't quote me on this and come at me if I'm like way off by like several, like 20,000 or something like that. But either way, they have not announced a single match for it yet. And they're already just selling it out. It's going to be in LA, like I said. So it's clearly going to be a pretty big time event. But I did see that on the internet and that, like, got me a little bit excited.
Right. This is going to be a banger, man. The way they were sending out those emails to me whenever I got like those pre-sales and everything like that. And we were talking about it. Those packages weren't bad for like $2,600, I believe it was, or something like $1,600.
Yeah, because they take care of your hotel and all that stuff. So there are some good deals if you do. Like if you can. Like if you're from California, like if you're from California in the area and you're like, okay, I could probably do this, and just look into the packages, not just the tickets themselves, because you might find a $250 ticket and it'd be a pretty good seat, but if you go look at the package, there might be like a $350 ticket where they'll pay for stuff, like where you get like a souvenir chair and like obviously your ticket into the show, but like other additional things as well. And, there's little, I guess the more you know,
perks.
From our experiences, yes, there's perks. Good thing. I'm glad you're here right now. You definitely helped me out. But anyways, up next, Braun Strowman. He's quote unquote in action. That's what the commentary team said as they were going to commercial break. And we come back, we see MVP in the ring, and he says that he is going to choose Braun Strowman's opponent, and it ends up being 5 guys, 5 jobbers. I don't know why. As soon as I saw 5 guys went out there, it made me want a 5 Guys burger. Just we were kind of talking about burgers and just saying, like, man, 5 Guys are just definitely a good juicy burger I would have enjoyed there. But Braun Strowman absolutely wipes out those guys and then mops the floor with MVP to the tune of 3 running power slams. He leaves the ring with spit all up in his beard, and he's ready for tomorrow.
That was pretty gross, dude. I would not want to have like any interaction with people that were just like,
See, that's the thing about Braun. He's always been known to like put the microphone like right in his, like he literally puts his mouth on the microphone and just he's always gotten spit and stuff, and you can't really help that sometimes. But I understand that, but it happens too much with him. I will say,
I was just whenever I saw him like doing that stuff, I was like, yeah. But I mean, the 5 people, man. I need to see. I mean, I'm happy he's about to go against Omos. Somebody big on big, I guess you could say, but he just needs to go against somebody that I can actually see him earning the W, I guess you could say. Rather than just these, like you said, these jobbers and stuff like that, because they basically just get in there and get tossed around. Just ragdolls, I guess you could say. But
get a check.
Yeah, I guess you could say, yeah. Just write me off real quick, take this little beating. Go ice up for the night.
They were bowling pins tonight.
That's what I'm saying, man. You just nothing, I guess. But I don't know. I'm kind of over the nobodies that he's going against and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely interested in this match tomorrow.
Okay. Well, now the main event: Rey Mysterio versus Gunther. Excuse me. One thing I did highlight here, on this match, is just the theme song number 1 for Rey Mysterio. It always hits pretty hard. But it's just crazy how much better his entrance looks and how much more crunk I get for his entrance without Dominic. I don't know what it is. Like, it completely changes it. I was just like, man, it's just crazy how much overall enjoyable Rey Mysterio is without Dominic. And that's not, I mean, it's hard to say that's not a shot at Dominic, because I'm not trying to take a shot at Dominic. I'm just being objective here and just, saying what I noticed, which is Rey Mysterio is a lot better off whenever he's not playing dad and you're actually realizing you don't have that distraction that, you're reminded, okay, he's with his son, he's got to hold his hand. When Rey Mysterio's out there by himself fighting for an Intercontinental Championship against somebody like Gunther, you can respect him for like who he is and say, okay, no, this is Rey Mysterio we're talking about here, the guy who did put SmackDown on his back during the Ruthless Aggression era, and somebody who's just, a surefire Hall of Famer. But this is a match I was looking forward to. They gave it a lot of time. They did. Started at, I guess, the final commercial break saying the main event is up next, took place at 8:30 Central Time. So they gave this match basically 30 minutes. You include commercial breaks and all that good stuff. It did end about like 2 minutes before, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, like I said, I was on Fire Stick, so the time a little bit off. But nevertheless, Gunther, for the most part, or at least early in the match, he was dominating this. He was, just throwing him around, pulling him out of the ring. Did that thing where he like had him in the corner and then he just like stomped on him, had like his foot on his throat. There were several times in this match where I just cringed and I was like, ooh, ooh, and I just kept making like those, those noises. That's very common in a Gunther match. Did you notice how Rey Mysterio called him Gunther?
Oh yeah,
he did.
Interview.
I knew Matt was probably happy about that, seeing that one. But anyways, it was a physical match, man. Rey Mysterio had his spots. Obviously, I did like at the very beginning whenever Gunther told Imperium to go, like basically just right there, he gave him his jacket and dapped him up, said, "You guys get the hell out of here. I'm going to do this on my own." You just like to see that. It made the match feel so good. Samantha Irvin and her introductions made it feel good as well. She's a hell of a ring announcer. She really is. And it was just a hell of a main event. It really was. It kind of set the tone. It did a good job, title match, two very credible wrestlers as a way to, send the WWE Universe home and get them ready for this Crown Jewel pay-per-view tomorrow. But no surprise there. I did expect Gunther to win. Wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense, but I left this match more appreciative of Rey Mysterio and what he is on SmackDown now as, part of this roster and what he's going to bring. The mention of Dominic, the constant referencing him, whether it's by the commentary team or by himself in the promos, lets you know, don't forget about that. They're basically reminding you, keep this in the back of your mind because it is going to rear its ugly head at some point. But, Gunther retains here and he will continue his reign as the IC champ.
Yeah, man, this one was awesome. Like you were saying, the thing that stuck out to me was like that little conversation that we had whenever you said about the Rey Mysterio, his little scream that he does whenever he's hurt.
Yeah, we're talking about in the corner.
Yeah, dude,
okay.
Whenever he was doing that with
his boot,
foot on the neck. Yeah, I was just like thinking about that, and I was just.
He doesn't have to make those noises, but he does.
It was so funny, man. Yeah, and it's just like all part of it, I guess you could say. And he plays it off so well, man. And it's just a laughing matter, now that you pointed it out to me and stuff like that. So it was good to see that, I guess you could say, in like real time, just watching it right then and there. But yeah, this was great, man. I kind of felt like Ray. I mean, even though he took that beating and everything like that, he still like shined over Gunther in the whole match overall and stuff like that.
Yeah,
he definitely like countered a lot of like the power slams, I guess you could say, into like hurricanranas and stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was definitely something to see, and I feel like these matches kind of work, man. Like we've seen the Ricochet and Gunther, and then we've seen this one, and it just these matches just seem to like pop for me.
Yep.
Just like the big and small guy, So, what would you say, Gunther? Massive, just powerful, and you got a high flyer, so you could do a lot of just anything, I guess you could say. So I mean, it was good, and I feel like it definitely left me on a high note leading into till tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a great way to close the show. Now next week we do get Shinsuke Nakamura versus Santos Escobar, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. That match was announced, as well as the winner of the tag team match up against the New Day. That match takes place next week. And then we get the SmackDown World Cup.
Yeah.
It's like a
tournament. That was kind of crazy. Yeah.
Like King of the Ring is what I took from it. Because I know we have had one of these before and Shane McMahon won. I don't know what to expect here.
I can't really think of anything of it either. I mean, I kind of walked in at the end of it, World Cup, whenever they were kind of explaining and stuff. So, I mean, it's just going to be a whole new thing to me. So
yeah, it's just the start of it next week. It's clearly going to be like a month.
Yeah, so
a month type thing.
I'm for it, any type of, what they're trying to do, I guess you could say, new and stuff like that. Come on with it. If it build some traction, let's keep rolling with it.
Yeah, something for us to talk about. But that does do it for us on the SmackDown portion of this episode. We're going to go ahead and move on to the quick preview and prediction for Crown Jewel, which is taking place literally almost 12 hours from right now at this very second. So whenever you hear this, it's probably going to be just a handful of hours away. And if you do listen to this before Crown Jewel, go ahead and shoot us a message on the Discord. Just, something like, hey, I did it, or something like that.
Nice,
just give us a little code or something like that, because if so, you're good in our book.
Maybe a couple of predictions.
Something like that. Think might win. Exactly. Especially if there's me and John maybe agree on somebody, you guys can split the tie or something like that. Let's start with Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, though.
On this one, man.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, man. I thought you were jumping into me, but this one I don't even know. Like,
I haven't been watching Raw, so you know that I can't give any like analysis on this. I can just give a true prediction.
Yeah, following just the Raw stuff, I mean, these dudes just been beating each other up, So I mean, there's really been no leverage, I guess you could say. Nobody has the higher end on it, so I'm gonna go with Bobby Lashley on this.
See, my gut's telling me possibly Bobby Lashley, because why the hell not? I mean, like this loss wouldn't hurt Brock Lesnar. It's not like he's a champion right now or like in the middle of some hardcore program or anything like that. He's kind of just got pulled out of nowhere for this. But I don't know.
It grabbed, bro.
I'm gonna go with Bobby too. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Bobby too, just because something is telling me like this loss wouldn't hurt Brock. It's overseas. There's nothing really at stake here. Mm-hmm. Bobby Lashley has wanted this match for a very long time. Why not give him the win here? So yeah. We're in lockstep there with Bobby Lashley. Up next, Braun Strowman versus Omos. This one is a little bit interesting. Here it is, Raw versus SmackDown. So for that reason alone, I want to roll with Braun Strowman. He is the new toy, I guess, so to speak, even though he's been in WWE longer than Omos. Technically, just in his return, he's hotter right now. And, he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. So, I mean, Omos needs to win a big match. He lost the WrestleMania match to Bobby Lashley, and he hasn't really gotten another opportunity since to be in like a big marquee matchup on like a pay-per-view where you look at it from like a matchup standpoint. You can get excited on paper as, okay, it's like two behemoths going at it. So he should get a win here because he is the younger guy. But I don't know, man. I just think Braun Strowman's going to win. So I'm rolling with the SmackDown talent.
I'm going to agree with you on this. I'm going to go Braun as well, just because I want to see him get that credibility. Like how I was saying earlier, seeing him go against nobodies, I guess you could say. And this is the biggest match that he's had so far in my eyes. Of course, I mean, not previous to this or anything like that, but this is going to be like that make it or break it for me, So if he gets this win, definitely going to give it up to him, stuff like that. But if he loses, I don't even know what to think of him. Monster of all monsters don't really like stand for the title, but yeah, I definitely want to see him get this dub and convince me that he's this guy.
Okay. We are in agreement there. Up next, the 6-man tag match, the OC versus the Judgment Day. I'm going with the OC here because, number one, I just think it's a mismatch. AJ Styles and Finn Balor, that's money right there, seeing those two guys go at it. But I really do think that there's more wrestling talent in Luke Gallows' little ponytail beard than is in Dominic. So I just think it's kind of a mismatch here, and I just think the OC is going to get it done.
I agree with that one as well. And I know we're hand in hand on these picks, man, but yeah, New Day, gosh dang. Judgment Day.
Different day.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Judgment Day, I just don't see him winning this, man. Definitely want to see AJ and OC, definitely elevate a little bit more on all this stuff. So yeah, definitely going to go with them as well.
All right. Steel cage match, Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross. We've been rolling with the baby faces here, or at least early. And because who won the strap match at the Extreme Rules? It was Kross. He left, and I mean, all right, screw it. I'm keeping the babyface train rolling here, and I'm going to roll with Drew. Even though I have heard he's had a little bit of injuries, dealing with injuries of his own. But hey, like I said, don't take that too serious. Just it is what it is. So who knows? I mean, it's just one match.
Yeah.
So he could easily win.
This one is tough, man. I do believe these guys are just going to beat the living crap out of each other, I guess you could say. But I'm going to roll with Karrion on this one. Yeah, this is going to be our split, I guess you could say.
All right. We finally pick a different winner. I don't expect us to pick a different winner here in the tag team match between the Usos and the Brawling Brutes. Brawling Brutes, they're not going to be the team to do this. No, I mean, I know that it would be unexpected. It would be a little bit of a swerve, but they've already planted the seed for this Usos versus New Day match and possibly a feud, because it might not be just a one-time thing. I could see just with how intense the mic work is, clearly being personal, them jumping them. So I mean, I am looking forward to an Usos versus a New Day matchup. In order to get there, the Usos have to win this match, and I think they will.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely looking past this one already. So, yeah, Usos are on my pick. But, yeah, definitely looking forward to the whatever's going to come of this New Day and Uso matchup and stuff. So, yeah, hope it's a good little slow burn and then just a good little power, you know. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. See, so, all right, we picked a heel team right there. So, finally, I mean, you're on a little bit of a heel roll now, picking Cross and then picking the Usos. I picked the Usos last time. I'm going back on the babyface side for this one, the Women's Tag Team Championship, Damage Control versus the champions, Bliss and Asuka. I just think there's no reason to put the titles on them Monday night on Raw to take them off of them 6 days later. It makes sense to keep the titles on Damage Control, but that's why you don't take them off of them in the first place, you know? So it's kind of why I'm like, you put yourself in this predicament where you almost have to have Bliss and Asuka win, so I do feel comfortable picking them there.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to definitely go with Alexa Bliss and Asuka. I mean, just because I didn't feel like there was anything going for Damage Control. Of course, like they had Bayley, you know, that was the top person, like their whole mic piece and everything like that. So, like them on the other side, you just kind of, I was just like already looking past it, I guess you could say. So, yeah, definitely going to go with Alexa Bliss and Asuka.
Staying on the women's side, Raw Women's Championship, last woman standing, Bianca Belair versus Bayley. This one has a little bit of the making of a trap match, in my personal opinion. Like, people are going to just expect Bianca Belair to win this one, but because it's not a regular match and there is going to be, like, the stipulation of a last woman standing, and we're creeping up on that time where you want to get championships on heels, on heel champions, just so you know the babyface can pursue them leading up to WrestleMania. It seems like a good time. Like it really does. It seems like a good time for Bayley to almost, you know, reestablish Damage Control as like a legitimate threat, because losing the championships, it kind of cools them off a little bit. The tag team championships, you know, they were on a roll there, beating the hell out of everybody. Bayley winning the championship and taking it off of Bianca Belair would go a long way to giving Damage Control more credibility, and just fast forwarding a little bit to a prediction, you know, rewinding to a prediction I made a long time ago, but also keeping it a little bit more, I guess, on pace to do that, is it would put Bianca Belair in a position where she could challenge Bayley for that championship at WrestleMania and go 3 years in a row, beating a woman of the four horsewomen. Like we said, she beat Charlotte, and then she beat Becky Lynch. Or no, sorry. She beat Sasha Banks a couple years ago at WrestleMania. It was a hell of a WrestleMania match. And then last year she beat Becky Lynch, right? At WrestleMania 38. And then now she'd have a chance to beat Bayley at WrestleMania. So it continues this prediction I had that would take 4 years, but Bianca Belair getting a win over a very prominent women's wrestler at WrestleMania 4 years in a row is basically what I'm talking about here. So, and it would be a championship win too, not just a fluke win. So, this could be a good chance for Bayley to take the championship. So I'm gonna let the onions hang a little bit, and I'm gonna roll with Bayley here.
Okay, on this one I'm gonna stick with Bianca. I mean, I kind of feel like the little trio that they have between her, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka is just like a little bit. Like, I would want to be behind that faction, I guess you could say.
All right, and that leaves us with one more match, the main event, Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship. I believe that is the name. I know that you're a huge Logan Paul fan, so I'm not going to just, tell you to be...
Don't even.
All right. Let's just see. All right. Is there any possibility here that it's even interesting? We know that Logan isn't going to win the title, but do you think that they're going to even have that spot in the match where we think he's going to win, or is it just going to be like Roman's going to mop the floor with him?
I think there is going to be that.
Because Jake Paul's going to be there ringside.
Yeah, that one punch is going to land. I don't know if it's going to be either from Logan Paul or Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul might be that one because he's the one that's actually been getting these like incredible, I've knocked somebody down type stuff. I mean, you got Logan Paul, you got one good punch on Floyd, I guess you could say, but other than that, I can't really go with it. But I believe that we are going to get that Roman Reigns on the floor. Type
Okay,
thing, you know,
like he's gonna drop him.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, something's gonna have to something is gonna have to happen for the. I know, yeah. Cut me back, but some type of distraction or interference is going to have to be involved in this. It can't just be a straight one-on-one. You know, I think there's definitely going to be something that makes us believe, okay, Logan may be able to get this win.
if there were any props like on FanDuel or Prize Picks or any type of like gambling website or whatever, if there were any props here, one thing I would do is, number one, Jake Paul is going to hit that one shot on somebody on that side of the ring. I know he's not going to be there for, obvious reasons, Sami Zayn. Mm-hmm. If Sami was there, I would put a lot of money on Sami getting the one shot, but he's not going to be there. Another thing, Logan Paul, very flashy, very extra entrance. I don't know about the gear, who knows, but put money on Logan Paul going a little bit over the top for his entrance. I know that's going to happen.
I agree with that. And yeah, I think it's just going to be like a show, really, like entertainment, big time, whenever all this is happening. Yeah, so it's definitely going to be, I don't know, man, it's definitely going to be something.
Yep, going to be entertaining. But with all that being said, that does do it for John and I here on the 107th edition of our SmackDown review here. Always a good time. No better time than right now to talk about wrestling, especially it being a go-home show leading into a premiere live event tomorrow, today when you guys are listening to this. But John and I are going to be at work dealing with a bunch of BS. It's that brutal reminder. You don't really like that. But, we're going to knock it out. Try to catch as much as this crown jewel as we can, during the day, and hopefully not be out all day. But, who knows what happens. Either way, that's bullcrap. You guys aren't here to listen to that. You guys are here to, listen to wrestling. So with all that being said, we hope that you guys have a damn good weekend. Enjoy all the wrestling you're going to be watching. Have a phenomenal weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. John, you got anything to say?
I'm good, man.
All right.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you.
Hey, like that. I like that. But hey, yeah, like I said, have a damn good weekend, guys. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.